What's going on, guys? Adam Ivy back again with another student spotlight video where I highlight the journey and successes of my Sell Music Masterclass and mentorship program students. Now, I recently had the opportunity to go to the beautiful state of Colorado Springs to be exact, to meet up with one of my students named Eraina Joy. Now, Eraina is a singer-songwriter who started just a few years ago and in a very short period of time found her stride and had some crazy momentum swings. So I'm going to let her tell her story. All right, guys, so I'm here with Eraina Joy, as I mentioned, in the beautiful state of Colorado Springs to be exact. It's snowing outside. It's beautiful. I wish I could show you. But anyway, I appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, good to be
talk
here.
about, Eraina's journey is one that's been incredibly exciting to be a part of. It's a lot of fun, and it's really inspiring, not only to me as a music creator myself, but I'm excited for you to be able to inspire and motivate those who at one point might have been where Eraina first started. So why don't you introduce yourself and share with my audience, where you first started with the whole music thing. When did you discover it? What was that, moment when you said, this is what I really want to do?
Sure. I started music, oh my goodness, I started professionally making music 2016, 2017. Before that, I was songwriting, when I was in 8th grade, and
Sure.
I'm 22 now. So I first kind of realized I wanted to do music when I was prepping to go to college, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to major in. I was really trying to just figure things out, and I had always had really horrible stage fright. And so I was kind of just sitting one day thinking, and I heard that kind of voice that was just like, hey, you should try music. And I went,
Wow.
No, I'm not doing that. I can't do it.
Did you play any instruments or anything up to that
I
point?
played guitar, and I was singing, but I couldn't do it publicly.
No?
The times people had tried to get me to sing publicly, I would actually cry, break out in hives. It
Yeah.
was much more dramatic than it had any right to be. But that's when I kind of figured out that I should do music. That was probably 2015-ish.
Okay.
And by the end of 2016 or early 2017, I was in the studio trying to make some singles.
Okay, so quick timeline. You've been at it for about 5 or 6 years when you really decided, hey, I want to make the leap into music. And
Into
then
music.
A little bit more serious in the last 3 to 4 years?
Honestly, a little bit more serious in the last 6 or 7 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of a thing where I had just gotten married, and I was, realized that I needed to figure out what I actually wanted to do with my life. I couldn't
Right.
just keep, half-assing things.
Yeah.
So that's when I kind of had a talk with my husband, and he's like, I support you doing music, but you have to try. You can't just kind of do it. And that's when I stumbled across your videos.
No, and that's awesome to have a partner that supports you genuinely and says,
Yeah.
hey, I hear you talking about it all the time. I know that this is a dream of yours, but I need you to go for it.
Yeah, and there's no bigger motivator than having someone who is willing to make sacrifices so you can make it. And then, the days I feel like being lazy
That's
or I don't
amazing.
feel like pursuing it, I remember, oh, there's someone else who has a stake in this and is
Yeah.
putting things on hold for me to pursue this. And that's been an incredible push in the right direction.
Massive shout out to Eraina's husband. So when you decided that you wanted to start building as far as growing anything with the music, because as we know, we can make songs till we're blue in the face at home, but if nobody's listening to them,
Yeah.
it's not going to do you any good. I mean, there's a whole lot of people that have amazing songs out there. You might be one of them that have a catacomb of 50, 60 songs that you've never released to the world, and you're kind of just maybe bashful, maybe shy, maybe have a little bit of stage fright or anxiety like you had. Like, what made you start releasing them to the world?
Oh, goodness. That's kind of almost a weird metaphorical question for me. It really was just that sense of I can either spend the rest of forever being scared, or I can actually just take the leap and do it and, say I did it at the very least. And I realized if I didn't kind of take that leap and at least try to make music, I would regret it later. And when people would say, well, what are you? And I'd say, oh, I'm a singer-songwriter, but I'm too scared to do that, and I'm not ever gonna.
Yeah.
And so, that was kind of just what, I can either be scared or I can
Go for
be
it.
scared and still go for it. And so I
Yeah.
chose to be scared and still go for it.
I sincerely think that the people that are most successful in life are scared shitless the entire time.
Yeah.
Even with the ego and even with the narcissism that some people have as like strong businessmen and stuff like that, there's always moments where you look at yourself in the mirror and say like, how is this working? Or why am I still doing this? Or like, this must be a mistake, or this must be some type of luck and happy accident.
Yeah.
When are people gonna finally realize that I'm not that good? you know, that
Yes.
self-doubt.
Yeah.
When did you realize that, hey, people are never going to understand that I'm good if I don't understand how to get in front of people to begin with the whole marketing thing?
So, especially in terms of marketing, again, stemming from that conversation where I realized I needed to just do something. I can't just keep releasing music. So, I did release music in 2017, and this is sort of a roundabout way of answering your question. But I released music in 2017 and didn't do any marketing and any promotion. And I was one of those very deluded people in the mindset of, oh, this is a good song, and people have told me I'm talented, so someone's going to come along and rescue me, and I'm going to just blow up. And obviously that does not happen. I mean, very often, at least.
Very. You have about this much percentage of that happening, right?
You should buy 10 lottery tickets if that happens to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So then there's a music website that acts as like a middleman for submissions and everything. And I had been sort of submitting casually, and I was selected to record for free in a studio in Florida. And as soon as that happened, I went, okay, when else in my life am I going to have the opportunity to record fully produced songs at no charge, accommodations provided in a world-class studio? And that's when I decided, marketing-wise, I didn't want to squander that opportunity. If I had that coming my way, I also wanted to have the resources to make the most out of it.
So Eraina came to me and contacted me right before this trip to Florida, before you even recorded these songs. So we came in contact on a one-on-one thing. You said you had discovered some of my YouTube content or whatever.
Yeah.
But we really solidified you taking marketing more seriously and really catering it to what you were wanting to do with music you hadn't even recorded yet.
Yeah.
So there's a quote that I love. It's, you don't start digging a well when you get thirsty, you attack it, you know, knowing that you're going to need that water. And Eraina did just that, because you uploaded these other songs before.
Yeah.
They kind of fizzled out. I mean, fair?
Not even fizzled out. They never took off. So as of, let's say, January of this year, 2020, and again, I released these, I think, July 2017, they had about 1,000 streams. That's how long they've been on total.
Okay.
And once I released Enough, which was the first single from that Florida experience after working with you, that's the first single I've released since then, and it is on Spotify over 30,000 streams right now, and over 60,000 across all platforms. Yeah.
In less than 2 months?
Less than 2 months, yeah.
Yeah, so you went from less than 1,000, or maybe like, let's just say 1,500, just to round it up, to the next single.
Yeah.
After understanding marketing, understanding strategy, tactics, you went from 1,000 to 60,000 without any, you know, paid crazy marketing strategies.
I didn't run a single paid promotion for the single. And the really interesting thing about that is I don't even know everything yet. I'm still working my way through the courses. And so as I keep releasing singles, I'm really excited to see, you know, as I keep getting new knowledge and being able to implement that, what's actually going to happen.
Another really interesting thing, because I know that instantly when people hear that, they're going to say, oh, well, it's easy when you have a huge following. It must be easy if you're verified on Instagram or something.
Oh, gosh.
Why don't you share with the people? Because, I mean, obviously in 2 years, it's going to be a completely different number, but share with the people how many followers you have on Instagram, for example, right now.
Right now, I have, I think, about 600 followers on Instagram, which is to say something, because when I started with you, I had like 340.
Okay.
Something like
Fair
that.
enough.
So it's only been a couple months, and I've, you know, essentially doubled what I had.
That's incredible.
Spotify, I had, I think, 40 followers, but only 20 monthly listeners. Now I have like over 100 followers and over 16,000 monthly listeners.
So I'm horrible at math, guys, but I mean, that sounds like 100x
I at least doubled it.
Yeah, it's 16 to, that's double. No, that's incredible. So, like, what has the reaction been with strangers reaching out to you that have discovered your song with Spotify, with others sharing, with you killing it on Instagram and really captivating with in an engaging way? And I say that because there's so many people out there that are like, well, I just have to post more. Adam says just to post more, but it's not what you post. And we have deep conversations on that.
I would like to comment on that, actually.
Okay.
My biggest struggle truly was pictures. In the weirdest way, I'm not insecure about the way I look, but I get very insecure about if people think I'm a narcissist, if people think that I just do music for attention. And I had that conversation with you of being like, I have no social media content to post, and I feel like a loser when I don't post. I feel like a loser when I do post.
Yeah.
It really took a dose of medicine from you of being like, that's just in your head, and you either have to choose to ignore it and, you know, actually see the results, or you can play into it. As soon as I chose to ignore that and started uploading more and more content to social media, interaction, as you'd expect, skyrocketed, and people were much more interested in my music than they ever were before because they were interested in me. You know, I cultivated a personal relationship with them through social media, and that's when they kind of actually started to grab onto my music versus, I think I had 10 posts over the span of 3 years on Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad, and now I have a ton.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. But
maybe twice that? I'm just kidding.
20 at least.
Yeah, no, you've been very consistent. And one thing I really like is, obviously we've been working on this, but the engaging content, reacting to people that are strangers, reacting to your stuff in a very appreciative, gratitude-driven way, to where then they're like, oh my God, because to them, you are larger than life. To them, your song is impactful, and they don't care how many followers you have.
Yeah.
The people that care, I'll address you guys. The people that care how many followers you have, which would determine whether or not they think that you're worthy of following, you don't need to worry about those people, because those people don't care about you or your music or your brand or wanting to be part of your movement or your growth. They just want to follow the cool kids. And those that follow the cool kids stop following you as soon as they find somebody else that's cooler, right?
That's absolutely true. I mean, again, I'm not verified on Instagram or anywhere close, but yesterday I got a DM from a total stranger, and they just had taken a screenshot of my song Enough on their playlist called Up and Coming Future Pop Stars. And they just sent it to me and they're like, I got you on this list, I'm keeping an eye on you. And they followed me on all platforms. And it's those kind of interactions where you're like, oh, people really care about the quality of the music and of the person, of the character, right? They don't care that I'm still working my way up. They're just interested that I'm trying, and that I'm trying in earnest, so.
I genuinely think that as a music creator, we are always trying to grow, right? And so it's easy to lose sight of the people that you're impacting, and I've been speaking on that here and there. But you know, imagine if you book out the House of Blues, then you're like, well, I want to book out Hard Rock, or I want to book out an arena or an amphitheater. Then when you book out the amphitheater, you're like, well, I want to book out Madison Square Garden. So you have to really be present in these impactful moments that you have. And like, from before we ever started working together, right, when you were making music, do you think, aside from the marketing impact, the momentum and the progress, which would be, you know, definitely huge wins for you, what is the mindset and the clarity and the focus and the confidence change, if any, from before we started working together in the program?
Honestly, it's exactly what you said, which is appreciating the little victories. So my other songs, I wouldn't even look at them. Obviously, I wasn't promoting them, but aside from not looking at them for marketing reasons, for personal reasons, I wouldn't check their streams. I didn't want to see how well they were doing, or in my case, how not well they were doing. So as I've gone along, I'm really learning to focus on, hey, 100 streams is really good, and then you pass that. 500 streams is really good. 1,000 streams, as soon as Enough hit 1,000 streams, I was like, that's it. I've capped out. That's how my other ones are. Then it hit 5,000, and then 10, and then 20, and you know, each time I have to remind myself, okay, maybe I don't have 1 million streams, but if you would have asked me 6 months ago how well this song was doing, I would have guessed about 500 streams. You know what I mean? So
and that would, and like 1,000 would have been a win for you.
It would have been a huge success. And so I really try to think of things in the perspective of, how would I have felt about this a year ago? How would I feel about this if I went back and told 10-year-old Eraina, you're gonna record music someday? That alone, instant win.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so not only are you going to record music, but then people are going to listen to it. 50,000 people are going to listen to it. And it's like, that's the coolest thing.
So when you first reached out and we talked about your goals and we talked about what you were trying to accomplish, to now is how long?
Oh gosh,
4
months? Yeah. That's crazy.
It's surreal, right?
Yeah, that's
so
weird.
This marketing stuff works, guys. So blow mind.
I was going to be like at least 6 years.
Yeah, right. Feels like it.
Wait.
No, so you know, from the, let's just say from the day before you reached out to now, do you think you'd be where you are now? Do you think you'd have, like, just I guess expound on that, but like, if you wouldn't have decided to invest in yourself, if you didn't decide to take that leap into taking it more seriously and learning how to do it from the marketing side and not just the music side?
I would not be where I am now. I wouldn't even be anywhere close, because the thing about it is it truly is habitual, right? If you don't have anyone saying, hey, what you're doing isn't working, you're gonna keep doing it. Because as much as, even if, well, at least personally, even as I realized what I'm doing is not working, I thought, well, I tried, I kind of just let it fizzle and die out. Then really, the best part about being in this program is having the constant motivation and encouragement from not just you, but from the other people in the accelerated program, in the Cell Music Masterclass program, excuse me. That really pushes you, and it invites you in to keep learning. So as of late, I don't know if I can share this, you uploaded a Spotify module to the program. Yeah, so
just don't give any away any of the secrets.
Here's how it went. No. Yeah, so you uploaded that, and I thought that's so cool that you're still continuing to research or implement the knowledge you already have on our behalf, and then share it with us so that we can continue to grow. Stuff like that really is priceless, and there's no other. I went through a lot of YouTubers trying to find information, truly, and none of it clicked. I actually brought my notebook here to show you today of kind of, you can see some sporadic notes from other places, and then you can see the page where I found your first video, and it's 2 pages of notes after an 8-minute video. It's just
that's awesome.
The most, and so it really is that kind of inspiration that the program, that your work kind of sparks in, and the motivation that it continues throughout time is really priceless.
No, I mean, so it's safe to say that you haven't regretted the investment?
No.
Okay.
I actively regret if I had not invested.
Yeah, no, I mean, and having that support at home, having that determination and that vision of, hey, I know what I want, but I can't become a racing car driver without getting lessons from a racing car driver himself. And so somebody that's gonna help me learn faster, because, you said you're 22, I'm 34. There comes a point where it's so easy to say, I'm going to learn tomorrow. I will reach out to this person when I'm ready. And then you wake up and you're 55 years old.
And you're still not ready.
Still not ready.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you know what? Taking care of my 2 guinea pigs and gardening, for 6 months a year might be fine. And that's fine for a lot of people. I never try to discourage somebody from just making music, because there's so many hobbyists out there that use music as therapy to them. But there's a difference between being a musician and in the music business. The reason why it's music business is it's also a business, but a lot of people kind of fail to believe that.
I had no business experience. In fact, business is one of the weakest areas in terms of my general skill set. I think that's what's made a lot of this so valuable to me, is hearing things that I feel like you're of the business mindset, makes sense immediately, right? Mm-hmm. But for me, until I heard them the right way, I heard them in a way that clicked, I would have never thought about that. And I've had people slide into my DMs and be like, hey, I saw you're in the class.
Oh,
and I was like, yeah. And they're like, you want to send me the stuff? And I'm like,
oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, no. That's something that you're always going to deal with. Side note, as a business owner, if you have any digital content, there's always going to be, I'll try to not be very vulgar with our interview here, but there's always going to be unsavory characters that are trying to steal. As musicians, we spend all this time and all this effort in making music, and how would we feel if we stood up on stage and the venue owner's like, hey, cool, you can play your songs, but you can't have your banners, don't talk to anyone, don't tell them where to follow you, and we're not gonna pay you. So just
exactly.
Yet people want to steal the content on how to make it, they will never make it.
And it
it's the mindset.
Feels like, as a musician, it sort of along those same lines, if someone came up to me and was like, hey, could you put me as featured on enough so it looks like I got those streams? I'd be like, no, that's not, and that's not a compliment to me either. I feel like people think it's a compliment of, oh, it looks really cool and really interesting.
Yeah.
And realizing that's not a compliment. If you really care about something, you're going to be willing to invest in it as little or as much as you can. So
it's like, imagine if you received a bunch of gifts from parents and loved ones and friends and coworkers and stuff, versus if you bought all those things individually, you view them differently.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
How many times have you received a piece of clothing or something for Christmas? You're like, yeah, I really love it. And then you tuck it away in a closet. 6 years later, you're like, Goodwill, there we go. Versus, I really love this shirt. I'm gonna invest in it in a way.
Yeah.
Even though it's a commodity, but then you take care of it, you hang dry it, all these different things. So same goes for education, guys. You're not in college paying $80,000 in tuition to walk out of there and go get a job at, Burger King or something. And nothing wrong with working at Burger King, but if you're investing, you really need to take the steps necessary to do with what your investment, what you plan on doing.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people, and I'm glad you brought that up. There's a lot of people that see the Sell Music Masterclass, they'll hear about the mentorship program, and they'll stand on the ledge and they're like, I don't want to spend any money to learn this stuff. I've already spent enough money on a guitar. Oh, I bought a mic. I already invested in myself. I'm spending upwards of 30 hours a year on my music or something crazy like that. Because I see some really crazy stuff in the DMs. But if a stranger, let's say that you take it back to 4 or 5 years ago when you started dabbling with it a little more intently. Mm-hmm. If somebody were to come up to you in the same position and say, hey, I love singing, or hey, I play guitar and I want to write songs and I want to be able to build a brand, or even a rapper, producer, whoever comes up to you after a gig and says like, you really blew up. How do you do it? Where do I start? What would you tell them about the paid programs versus the YouTube stuff that you discovered? Because a lot of people might think like, oh, it's all on YouTube.
Yeah. When I first stumbled across the YouTube videos, there's a lot of good content in there, and you really set people up with a really good and strong foundation. But if you really want to get into the details, and I think for me, it comes down to the homework, right? So you can watch YouTube videos and take notes, great.
Yeah.
When you're in the class and you have someone saying, here's what you need to do, here's your assignment, send it to me so I can look over it and discuss it with you. A lot of that is, one, it's accountability that says keep pushing, and two, it's more than one version of intake. So you're not just listening, you're watching, you're writing, you're reading over. And so I would say that's maybe the main difference for me personally, if I would say pay for it, because what you pay for is a much deeper understanding of the very surface level that gets scratched in the videos.
Yeah, so they scratched in the YouTube videos versus in the actual curriculum.
In the actual module, right. So if you make a video about something and it's a 12-minute video about Instagram, that's great. But you get into the Masterclass and the accelerated program, and then there's 6 12-minute videos about how you actually...
The tactics.
Yeah, the tactics and how you really tackle that, and that's very valuable.
So what's next? When's your next single coming out?
Tonight.
Yeah. I already knew that, but you guys
he already
didn't.
knows. Yeah.
And I'm going to have Areina's links in the description box. Go show some love. Add it to your playlists if you really enjoy it. Share and spread the love and the word about the music, because I firmly believe that if we pay it forward as creators, we're going to get that love back. It's the reciprocity of life.
Definitely.
I see you sharing a lot of different creators and a lot of different people that are sharing your stuff. You're going back out and sharing that on your Instagram stories, and it's not just Instagram, but that's a great representation visually of what's going on, because there's a whole lot of stuff that happens in the background with the marketing and how you're setting things up and setting up, as I call it, the ecosystem, and how this leads to that, leads to that, leads to that.
Yeah.
But when you can finally just sit back and say, these people are getting my music. It's not about the money sometimes. It's not about, 60,000 streams in 2 months is pretty freaking awesome. But it's about 60,000 people, or maybe 30,000 listening to it twice, really listening to what you spent hours on, or for some of you guys, even years on making music that isn't throwaway stuff. You have a message in it. I mean, the Enough record was unbelievable, and that's why it's resonating with so many people, because you're telling like a real heartfelt story.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's very conversational, and it's just like if I was talking to you, right now, that's how and the 60,000 streams is nice, but the best parts have been I've had several people cover it, and sing the song, and then they'll caption it with like, here's what this song meant to me. And that
must just be surreal.
Super cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming all the way to the beautiful Airbnb that I rented here to talk with me today. It's great meeting you face to face and being able to share your journey and your testimony with the audience. So guys, like I said, all of her links will be in my description box below. You have any links that you just want to shout out real quick?
Definitely check out Spotify or whatever platform you use.
And I'll put her Instagram handle up on the screen right now. Definitely go shoot her a follow. And if you have any questions about the program, she's an open book. She'll be very honest with you.
Shoot me a DM.
Yeah, but don't ask for shit for free, guys. That's just, don't steal from me.
It's lame.
Yeah, that's pretty. Anyway, I appreciate you coming out. Hey, let's kick it back to the studio. Now, one more time, gotta say thank you to Eraina and her husband for taking time out of their day to come speak with me so I could film that conversation to share it with you guys. Her story has just begun, so be on the lookout. Make sure to go follow and share, add her stuff to your playlist on Spotify. All of her links will be in the description box underneath this video. Now, if you want to be in a Student Spotlight video, now's your chance.
Welcome to the Sell Music Masterclass, where we give you, the creator, proven advanced strategies with actionable tactics and techniques to help you monetize your music and develop a powerful online brand. With your instructor, Adam Ivy.